Hello everybody, Yom Tov, and I hope everybody is staying fit and well today, considering that we've got all this news about this coronavirus going around. So I hope nobody who's viewing me, or even, it doesn't have to be a Havener, just anybody who's watching, tell people not to steal hand sanitizer from outside of a cancer suite. As I was talking to Lorraine yesterday, and that's what they've done in her cancer unit. When you go in, there's a hand sanitizer on the wall, or there was one, until somebody stole it. And I don't understand what's happening to people. That they're taking hand sanitizer from hospitals and GP surgeries and things like that, where NHS staff have got to keep their hands clean, obviously, and we should be keeping our hands clean. But the world's going to hell in a handbasket, guys, because of this virus. Trying to go shopping and there's no milk to be had, no bread, no pasta, rice. There's no toilet roll. You got to hunt around to get some toilet roll. It's just absolutely insane. I don't know why people are panic buying the way they have. I just don't understand it. Because it's difficult for me to get out to get shopping done. And obviously if you try and order shopping in, there's so much that, the biggest stores, if they run out, then you can't get. So it's a case of having to go around the smaller shops and go in there and see if they've got any goods. And that's what we've had to do today. Go around to a smaller shop just to be able to buy some milk and bread and some pasta. And we managed to get some toilet roll. So that's something. As you know, I rarely go out, but one of the times that I do have to go out is I've got to see the lymphedema specialist. And I don't know how many of you have seen the pictures that I posted on Twitter and in our Havener Facebook page about how my face looked over the weekend. I was horrifically swollen. I mean, my eyelids were lumped over and resting on my eyelashes, and had big bags underneath my eyes. So I've been today, and I've been given this stuff called K-tape, which does the job when your face moves, like talking and that. It lifts the skin a bit more, so it's easier for the fluid to drain away. And I've been shown a technique where I can, like during the night, I can put a piece of K-tape right down here to help with the swelling. So I'd have one on either side. I've just been shown how to do this side today, and it goes all the way down to the lymph nodes in my neck. But there are lymph nodes up here, and these are trying to get the fluid to drain away. So what I've been advised to do is every night from now on, put some K-tape going over the tops of both eyes down to about here, and then have 3 strips of K-tape go from underneath my eyes to down to about here, where there are more lymph nodes, to try and help with the drainage. So instead of hiding things from you, I wanted to show you that this is one of the treatments for when you develop lymphedema in your face. The specialist is going to look into making me some kind of, well, it's made of the same sort of heavy-going lycra medical material that they use for the garments I wear on my legs. They're going to try and find something lined in silk, like a kind of a Zorro kind of mask, you know, that I can wear over my eyelids and under here. Wear that all night. I've got to get a hold of a travel pillow for around my neck to keep my head up and straight, and more pillows behind me, so that when I go to bed at night, I can't lie flat, but it just means I can rest back. But I've got something bolstering me here, in here, to stop my head falling onto my shoulders, and trying to use gravity to help drain all this excess fluid. If you want to really frighten yourself, either look at the pictures that I put up on Twitter, or if you're in the Haven Facebook, you can put it there. Have a look at me there. I apologise, I don't look good at all. But I just wanted to share what having lymphedema does to me. And now I've been told that I definitely have it in my face, because before I just thought, well, is it just my eyes swelling, or is it happening because I've had makeup on that day or something like that? But no, it's not, because this is happening more and more now than it did, say, even 6 months ago. It's already in my feet, my toes, my feet, my legs, right up to my groin. It's in my tummy. It's in my hands slightly, but more on my right hand. And my right hand is swollen up so much that when it calms down like it has now, you'll see all this excess skin. So it's given me what I would consider to be called like old lady skin. Old lady hands, you know. The skin being so loose. And you can see that the skin on the back of my hand is just so loose. And it takes a lot of having to deal with it mentally, you know, and I was coping okay with it before because it was parts of me that you couldn't see. But now it's in my face, because I didn't realise there are lymph nodes up here. It's above the temple. And there are lymph nodes in my neck. Now the lymph nodes everywhere else, they don't work properly, which is why I've got to wear support garments to keep the fluid moving properly the way it should. But I'm not going to give up. You know, I've asked for anything that will help drain the fluid out of my face. So I'm going to put another 3 strips on my head later. I'm going to put a strip on either side of my eyes. And then I'm going to wear that all night. I'll take it off during the day, but wear it at night time. This looks like it's going to be a pretty permanent thing. It's like I take penicillin every day, and I have to do that in case I get bouts of cellulitis. Now, you can get bouts of cellulitis without having lymphedema. But when you've got lymphedema and then you get an bout of cellulitis, it's worse again, because it can cause it can basically give you sepsis. And as we all know, sepsis is extremely horrible and it can be fatal. You can lose limbs through having sepsis, and I must admit I don't quite fancy that much. Also, having lymphedema and cellulitis can cause heart failure. You can, it makes you feel like you've got proper pneumonia because your lungs fill up with fluid and you can't breathe properly. So that doesn't help either. So that's why I take penicillin every day to build up a kind of resistance to the germs in cellulitis. It's basically a Staph aureus germ which grows in the skin. So I've got to be very, very careful about not bumping my legs or jarring my toes or cutting, and anything daft. I've got to be careful of sharp edges on things, or when I'm getting my toenails sorted out by the podiatrist have got to be very, very careful how they cut my toenails in case they actually accidentally snip the skin, because then I've got to then go and tell the lymphedema team that this has happened, and then they get involved, and it's a bit crazy. So I've got to tell you, I'll be honest with you, when the specialists, I joked and said, my face was so bad, I looked as if I'd gone 2 rounds with a boxer, and I don't want to have lymphedema in my face. And she just looked at me and she said, I'm sorry, but you do. And I just burst into tears. And she said, look, you'll learn to live with it. And I said to her, I may not have much of a life, stuck in this chair and indoors all the time, but I have a life online. And I told her a little bit about what I do. And I said, I want to look nice. I'm not a vain person. I've never been a vain person. I'm not pretty. I'm not lovely. I'm not beautiful. I know people say all these things about me, but come on. There are some stunning, stunning women out there, my age, who I'd love to look like, but I don't. But I think that when I've got my makeup on, I think I'll look fairly okay. I'd go so far as probably saying, my husband thinks I look attractive. And if he's happy with the way I look, then that's absolutely brilliant. But I want to, I can't at the moment, I couldn't put eye makeup on because I'm still too swollen here and here a bit. Hopefully by tomorrow, some more of the fluid will have drained away and I'll be able to put some makeup on, because I love watching my friend Angie, as you know, of 4F Beauty. If you just put into the YouTube search bar 4F Beauty, you'll find her. And please go and show us some love. She is so nice, and she's such a lovely, lovely person. She's so kind, caring, sensitive, compassionate. And she's got chronic arthritis and fibromyalgia. And, she's one of these pain 24/7, 365 like me. But she loves makeup. So she wants to do makeup tutorials because she's a makeup artist. But because of her chronic pain, she can only go at a certain speed, which is great for people who want to follow along with her, which I've done myself before. And I like to copy some of the looks she's done. But if the lymphedema decides to raise its ugly head in my face one day and swells up my eyes, I can't do it. I've just got to wait. I've got to sit for hours and hours and wait for it all to drain away. I mean, in order for my right eye to, pull the hood and that back properly, the other day I had to wait about 16 hours. And normally everybody can wake up with puffy eyes, but it's normally gone within an hour. But when your lymph nodes don't work, they're called incompetent. I've now got incompetent lymph nodes in my face. It's hard going. And I want to copy some of Angie's looks, and I want to look nice. I don't want to come on here talking to you looking battered. It's not nice for you to look at. And to be quite honest with you, it's heartbreaking for me. Because she actually said, come on, you surely must have realised this was going to happen at some point. And at the back of my mind, I knew it might, but I'd been so lucky. I thought, no, it's going to be fine. It's just going to stay in my right hand, and it's going to just stay in my legs and my feet and my toes and in my tummy, and I can cope with that. Because people don't need to see that. So I've had a good cry. When I saw my hubby, I came home and he cuddled me, and I had a good cry in his arms. And yes, I talked about the unfairness of it all. And I do know if my lymphedema was left untreated, it would eventually kill me. That much I do know. So I've got to do whatever I can and use every treatment plan that they offer me to do my best to fight back. So that I don't end up looking as horrific as I did at the weekend. Anyway, I've talked to you about that because half of this video is, like I say, it's like a life update. And I haven't been able to give you a video on Friday, and that's the reason why. Because it started on Friday. And I couldn't come on camera yesterday because it was still, my eyes were still up too much. So I wanted to come on today and share with you what I've been through today. And I wanted to say to anybody who does have lymphedema that depending on who it is you're working with, it's not all doom and gloom. I'm feeling a bit tired. I've had to take some of my meds before because I couldn't earlier. There is a kind of light at the end of the tunnel. And the best advice I can give you when dealing with lymphedema is learn how to adapt to it and do whatever you can to help yourself. Like in my case, I've got to go and buy myself this little travel collar and buy some more pillows and use gravity to work for me to help with draining all this fluid out of my face. I did get some good news. I've actually lost some weight. And I thought, well, that's fantastic. I said, I don't know where from, as the chins are still there. I said, I wish I could lose it from my boobs. I tell you what, you lop them off, and I reckon I'd lose about 100 pounds there and then. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you as well about this situation that we've got with Meghan and Harry, but I have been asked to talk to you about Prince Andrew and my thoughts on him. So, as you know, Meghan and Harry have been in the UK this week. There was talk of them being very upset at how they were seated in Westminster Abbey yesterday for the Commonwealth celebration. I personally never saw them being upset. I saw it was awkward between William and Harry. Keeping in mind the things that Harry has said, and William hasn't really fought back. William isn't one much for turning to social media and what have you about his feelings. He really tends to keep them to himself. And Kate says nothing. But from what I watched, she did smile at Harry and Meghan. William spent more time talking to his Uncle Edward rather than his brother. But you see, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And we don't know what was said when they had the big conflab at Sandringham. And we don't know what Harry said to William and vice versa. They may have had a bigger falling out than we realise. And at the end of the day, they may be titled people, but they're still human beings. And they may have said some unkind things to each other, which, you know, words are like once spoken, they're never forgotten. So maybe William's feeling hurt. I don't know. I do know he's been working harder than ever. He has to now because they're down 3 royals to do all the work that needs to be done. But anyway, my personal feelings about them being in the UK this week. I don't know whether Meghan's had a bum lift, but her bums seem to be, I don't know, different. I think she's got new teeth. She's obviously done something with her teeth because they're whiter than ever. I've never seen anything like it. For her claiming to be a woman of colour, dawned on me that she'd never done anything for Black History Month. Even being in Canada, she's never mentioned it. She's never mentioned Black History Month. But I thought she was a proud woman of colour. Is that not when she's not being Caucasian? See, it's all these mixed signals that leave the rest of us scratching our heads thinking, what's going on? What I do actually think is that Harry's wanted out for years. He wanted someone who could maybe give him the courage to strike out. In comes Meghan, who's like, you know, all for getting things done, hitting the ground running. She's given him, I think she's fed him and fed him and fed him about, oh, you can have this because you're the favourite grandson and all this sort of thing. And I think Harry's had a rude awakening, because I think the Queen said, I love you, but I'm not prepared to do this for you. And no, you can't have this because it's against our laws here. You cannot do that. And he must have thought, I mean, I don't know, maybe Meghan said to him, she's your granny. You can get her around your little finger. And maybe that's what he thought he could do. I'll talk Granny round. And Granny's not playing ball. So we don't know. But I want to get into this thing about Prince Andrew. Oh, in this country, when a girl is 17, you've got to be, the legal age for anyone to have sex in the United Kingdom is 16. Right? 16-year-olds can actually get married as long as they have their parents' permission. And it's all got to be signed and documented and what have you. But once a boy and a girl reaches the age of 16, that's when they can start having sexual intercourse. Now, I know it's different in America. I think in some places it's 18. I think other places might be 21. I don't know. I know it's entirely different in America. There's one thing I don't agree with, calling Andrew a paedophile. Yes, he slept with a 17-year-old girl. But you see, the thing is, he did it on American soil. So I can see why so many people are calling him a paedophile, because he committed the act on American soil, right? Now, he can claim till he's blue in the face, I didn't know this one, I didn't know that one. But you and I both know that, you know, since his marriage broke up with Fergie, he hasn't stayed celibate. We all know this. We're not stupid, right? And normally the women that he slept with have done the deed and said nothing, right? I am having a drink tonight, by the way. L'chaim. I told, I'm having coconut rum with some lemonade in. But no, I'm having some coconut rum. Just to get over the shock of today, you know. Because I'm only human like the rest of us. I got a shock and I don't normally turn to alcohol to sort things out. When hubby said, look, do you want me to make you a drink? I just said, oh yes, go ahead. If Andrew had committed these deeds on UK soil, him sleeping with a 17-year-old, I think he would have got, oh God, you know, you're 40, dirty old man, right? But it still happens. There are girls out there who want to sleep with older men. And they're not necessarily prostitutes or ladies of the night. They're just girls who have a thing about having sex with older men. Now, the difference is that Andrew got involved with Jeffrey Epstein because Jeffrey Epstein lent Fergie about $20,000 when she was in a bit of a sticky mess when it came to her finances. She's not very good with money. But when Jeffrey Epstein also held these parties, and dinner parties and what have you, Andrew was introduced to all these different people that he never normally would have met. And it helped him in the business world So that was one side of his association with Epstein. But of course, when he told him about his island and I can get you a girl and all this sort of thing, it was, with Andrew being the way he is, because he's another one of these self-entitled pricks. Honestly, I've got to tell you, I have no love for Prince Andrew whatsoever. He's been a spoilt brat from more or less as soon as he could toddle. Because the Queen had Charles and Anne. There was a 10-year gap before she had any more children. And she went on to have Andrew and then Edward. Okay? Andrew was our favourite. I don't know why, but he was and still is our favourite child. I mean, she's getting along much better than Princess Anne now, because they didn't get along for a long time. And all she ever said about Edward was he was the gentlest of our children. And I don't have any beef with Prince Edward at all. I think he's got a lovely wife, lovely kids, and he's not problematic. He just gets on with it. He does what his mother tells him, basically. But Andrew has always been the spoilt one. He would go into the gardens of Buckingham Palace and kick over all the new plants that the gardeners had spent hours putting in. So they would tell him off, and then he would shout back things like, "You can't touch me, my mother's the Queen and I'll tell on you," that sort of thing. So when the gardeners went to the Queen, asked to speak to her, and told her what Andrew had been up to, and she actually said to Andrew, "Did you do those things?" And he would say, "Well, yes." And she said, "Well, that was wrong. You're not to do it again. And I've told the gardeners to punish you in any way they see fit." So he would then go away, deliberately kick his ball against new plants and what have you. So apparently a couple of the gardeners got a whole load of old leaves that they were going to get ready to burn. And they dropped Andrew into a great big pile of dirty, smelly, damp leaves. And every time he got up, they kept pushing him back in. And that was the only way they could deal with him. All his life he's been spoiled, particularly by the Queen. You know, and you've seen how Fergie goes around talking about him all the time, the most honourable man in the world. And this, that and the other. Yeah, right, okay. Whatever you say. But this thing with Virginia, I don't know how to pronounce a married name, I'm afraid. But I'll just call her Virginia. She was offered by Epstein to Andrew on 3 separate occasions. And she said, you know, it was a case of she'd lie in the bed, he'd walk in, disrobe, do the deed, say thank you to her, and then he'd leave the room. And then get on with his stay with Epstein, or fly off to wherever he was going to go. But I do understand why he's being called a paedophile, because in America, sleeping with somebody at the age of 17 is wrong and seen as a paedophilic act. To be honest with you, Adrian wouldn't have thought of that, because he's not the brightest tool in the shed, right? He's not that clever. He makes the most, I mean, to be honest with you, he's incredibly stupid, but he's arrogant with his stupidity. And he's also stupidly arrogant. He honestly believes that he is above reproach, and look, it's, to him, it's, oh, woe is me. Look, I've resigned, you know, doing duties for the Queen. I'm now taking a back seat. I've retired. What more do they want from me? Well, he actually did say that he would cooperate with the FBI and law enforcement if they wanted him to. Right? Lo and behold, and it should be of no surprise to any of us, he hasn't done anything. He's been the opposite of helpful. He refuses to speak to them. He's now got himself a new lawyer who managed to, I think she managed to get a murderer, managed to sort out his defence, so he was found not guilty. Something like that. But he's got this new lawyer, just in case he's got to go to America, because he is terrified that if he goes to America, they will lock him up and he won't get home. Now, personally, I think he would have done himself a lot more favours if he'd said, yes, I did those things. I, was told they were of age and they were prostitutes, and I went and had sex with one girl in particular, and yes, it was that girl, and I never thought anything more of it, because I'm a prince, and I think that I should just have everything all the way I want it. And he didn't question anything. He just took everything at face value. So because the laws are different in America, yes, he would be seen as a paedophile because he slept with a girl of 17. Over here, he wouldn't be, because our laws for the right age to be allowed to do these things is different to that of America. So I can totally understand why a lot of people call him Prince Pedo. I would say yes, the title fits if he's in America, but it doesn't when he's in the UK. If you want my personal views on it, I think he's a liar. I think he's incredibly self-entitled. I think he's extremely arrogant. He believes in his own legend. He thinks he's above the law. He thinks that nobody can touch him. So, within reason, he can do what he likes. But I think he was wrong for not telling the truth, because he did lie in that interview he did with Emily Maitlis. I could feel it. Never mind this, I don't sweat and all this sort of carry on. And I was in Woking getting a pizza for Beatrice. It's all BS. It is. Come on, guys. We are not stupid. We are not going to have the mushroom treatment. And I don't know if you realise what I mean by that. But you know how mushrooms are grown, right? They're fungus. And a lot of them are grown in SHIT. So I'm not going to be treated like a mushroom. I know you guys won't be tolerated being treated like mushrooms. So we just have to call it like it is. In America, Prince Andrew committed a paedophilic act. But it's not classed that way here, because our laws are different. So I think the Queen is remarkably silly for, that's the thing. She's a mother. Mothers love their children. Mothers do silly things when it comes to protecting their children, don't they? But in the majority of cases, we try to do what's right. We do try and do the right thing. But in this situation, the Queen hasn't done the right thing. She should have actively encouraged him to either get the FBI to come over here and for him to talk honestly with them, or no, you're a man, you have created this problem, you have to go and face it. Be a man. And he hasn't. He's not worthy to have his title, in my opinion. He's brought disgrace and shame on the royal family. He makes Brits look bad. And you know how I feel about, I'm very patriotic. But I'm not above seeing the faults that we do have in the UK. We are not perfect. I don't think any nation state is. But if there are problems that I've got to come clean to you guys about and say, as Brits, we do have this problem. Or we've got that wrong. Yes, I will say that. I'm not going to lie to you. I will stand up for my country, but when it's the right thing to do. And if we do something wrong, I'll put my hands up to that too. And just before I go, I will say this. I know that Meghan's documentary will have aired today at some point. I don't know whether I can watch it because of how the trailer got me feeling. But if I do end up watching it, then I will come back to you and tell you what I think of it, if that's what you want me to do. So on that happy note, guys, I hope you don't mind. I need to go and eat dinner, and then I think I'll be having an early night and try and prop myself up as best as I can, so when it's the folk tales tomorrow, I don't look like a barrage balloon when I'm sitting talking to you. If anybody has any requests, please let me know in the comments, and I'll do what I can. I also want to say that I miss our Kate. Kate was always here with every video that I put out, and she's been missing now for about a fortnight. And the last I spoke to her, she wasn't feeling very well. So, Kate, if you do manage to watch this, I miss you. We all miss you. I really miss you. Okay, guys. I love you all. Again, thank you for listening to me. And I'll see you tomorrow for the folk tales. Take care, guys.